So, good evening, everyone. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker today. We are incredibly fortunate to have with us Lakshmi Narayana Malineni. He graduated from IIIT Kottayam and is a web application developer where he has been making significant strides in the realm of software development. He is skilled in C, C++, Python, Java, and JavaScript. We are excited to hear from Lakshmi Narayana Malineni today and gain insights from his experience and knowledge. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Lakshmi Narayana Malineni.
Hello, hi guys. Yeah, let me take the presentation. So, can anyone give me access to the screen share, please? Yeah. Let me share my screen. Yeah, I should do. So, in the last session, we were able to print our input text, right? So, let me start our application where we have ended in the last session. So, so this session will be more of a coding part, so there won't be any theoretical part. So I suggest you guys just follow along with me while I code. So yeah. Meanwhile, yeah, our app is starting. Meanwhile, you can ask any queries or doubts if you want to. Let me. So any questions? Any questions and queries? Okay. So our app has started. So this was our last session progress, right? So we have different pages and we have our chart page. In this chart page, we are able to print our input responses, like let's prompts. So we are able to print the prompts, but we are not getting the responses from the bot since we haven't connected any model to it. So uh, today we will be discussing how a model will take your prompt and give response for that. So uh, for the model thing, we will be using Hugging Face API. So you might have heard this. So this is how Hugging Face homepage look like, as you can see. So there are several models which Hugging Face APIs are providing. So there are several models. You can browse over here. Let me zoom in a bit. You can see image to text converter, video to text converter, depth estimation, NLPs. So today we will be working more on text generation thing, right? So since we are building a bot, we will be focusing on the text generation models. So these are the popular text generation models. So if we sort it by most downloads, as you can see, GPT-2 is the top downloaded text generation model in Hugging Face. Now, how to use this API, right? So, whenever you click on a particular model, let me take GPT-2 for instance. So, you can see a similar dashboard like this. So, when you click on the deploy thing, so this Hugging Face platform offers several methods to deploy your own model. So, you can just use a library, you can move it to Google Cloud, your own AWS server, or you can train the model by your own data, specific data which you can do by yourself. So for in this session we are using Inference API. So again, what is Inference API? It is a serverless API. We don't require any server or any local host to host the or to deploy the model, right? So the model is already been deployed in their servers, and this we are using a just a connection in order to parse our own prompts. So as you can see, when you click on the Inference API, so you can see a similar kind of toggle over here. So this is how you create Inference API in Python. So we will be using React, right? So we will be using this function. So again, then what is this function? This is a Inference API function that has been given by Hugging Face API. So this is the format we have to follow in order to get the requests, right? So we will be using uh, this snippet, and also let me clear this. So in order to use this API, we require a token. In order to generate that, you have to log into the Hugging Face portal, and then you have to browse through settings. There you will find access tokens, and then you can create your own token, and the token will be generated. And the token is very important in order to access any models in Hugging Face. So copy the copy the token once and store it somewhere safe so that you can't mix. Even though if you miss, you can create a new token, so that's not an issue. So let me use this API. So as of now, we are able to post our prompts, but we are not getting any responses. So let us create a inference. Then again, how to do that? So this will be a hands-on session full on. So I suggest you guys to code along with me. Yeah. So this is our home page. Let me surf. Yeah, this is our home page and this is our chat page, right? So earlier this was the code we have written to print our own prompts. Okay. So let me create the inference API. So in order to create that, you have to install a particular module called Hugging Face Inference. So let me show that first. So this is the uh, running terminal. Let me open another terminal. So let me zoom in a bit. So yeah, as you can see, this is my new terminal, and you have to install the node package called Hugging Face API. npm i Hugging Face slash inference. Right. So we require this module to handle all the inference functions. So which we will be using in the later on session. So let me import this. Let me import Hugging Face inference. So we'll be calling with the H inference, right? So this will be H inference from similarly from Hugging Face module. Hugging Face slash inference. right? Then again, let me initiate the inference thing. Let me start a inference. Then again, what is the inference? Inference is a connection which we are requesting from the Hugging Face servers. Then again, I am explaining it in a very vague way, but it has its own what do you say documentation. You can just read it. Here we will be requiring our token, which you have generated earlier. So let me access the token. So I have stored in my guest list, as you can see. So this is my guest list, and I will copy this token. You can copy your token from here itself. So let me paste my token here. So I have created an inference. Then again, we have just created the inference, but we haven't used it. So let me use the inference. So this is our handle for submitting the prompt, right? So what happens when we submit the form? When we submit our input field, the set message, the messages will be the state of the message will be changing into the form of our input. Uh, then what do we need to do now? We have to update it by the response of the Hugging Face inference model. What is the model? ChatGPT. So we will be using this messages text, and then we will be writing a handle error method, right? So we will be initiating the letter over here. So let our bot reply. Let us initiate a variable called bot reply, right? So we have created the variable bot reply, and later we will be populating it by the response. Where are we? Okay. So also let me clear this first. Yeah. Let us add a for loop. So let us do a await function. In that await function, we will be on chunk. Then again, this is a default function that has been offered by the Hugging Face API. So, right. So this is a Mistral working on this const fetch response. We call this API over here. We clear this. We introduce the token here. Then this will be gone. Right. So we are good to go. So we will be declaring a fetch response. This is a async function. Then again, what is async function? You can just browse it. There is a documentation. You can read it. It is a vast topic. We can't cover this in this session. We will write a try function over here. So const responses. So we will be declaring a variable called response. So we will be declaring a response variable over here, and the response variable will be our bot response. Like how to get that? We will be having a await function over here. Then again await function will be returning us the bot response. Inference dot text generation. So the model is what is our model? We are using GPT-2, right? Then what is the input? Input in the sense we are having. Let me clear this. Yeah, input in the sense our prompts. So what is the input here? Our input. Yeah. So this is our state input, which have declared earlier. So we have to initiate max tokens. Max tokens will be maybe let's say 500. Let's set it to 500 initially, and let's try it later on. Again, we'll have a return function over here. The return, what does it return? It returns the response which we have declared already. And then if it fails, we will catch a error over here. Catch a error. Then again, what does the error say? It will be retrying until the responses will be getting from the server. If it doesn't, if it is greater than 0, then we will print the error. Otherwise, it will create a server status error that will be displayed in our console box. Error dot response dot status will be declaring the status. If the status is, then again, what is the status? Can browse it. There are certain status code you may have came across a common popular status code called 404. Right? What is a 404? 404 is a status code. Whenever you are hitting a server with a certain request, the server also replies with your status code in order to maintain the what do you say accountability, right? Not accountability exactly, but it will create a status code. So whatever the response you are getting, it will be in the status code. If it is success, then you will be getting a status code of 200. 200 is a success message, right? Similarly, you will be having a n number of what is a status codes. Each status code adds its own property, right? So where are we? So we will be assessing the status code 503 with our own response, and then we will await and we will write a await promise. Wait, okay, this should be capital. So we'll be resolving by this error. We'll be adding a set timeout, comma. For every 2 seconds, this will be getting refreshed, right? So that's what it says. And then we will be returning the promise. What is our promise? This is our response. What is the retry count now? Retry count will be -1. So we'll be how many times we will be retrying? We will be retrying for 3 times. When the third time, if it fails for the third time, then we will be throwing an error, right? Else throw error. Then again, I will be explaining all of it in the later part. So yeah, we'll be throwing error, and then we'll be we'll be sending an error message to it. Const response equals to, we'll be awaiting for the, we'll write a awaiting function for our fetching response. So here goes our fetching response. Semicolon. Okay, it should be const. Awaiting for our fetching responses. If bot reply occurs, bot reply equals no, we will be declaring the bot reply, right? So bot reply will be the response. So whatever the response we have generated, we will be storing it in the bot reply uh, variable. Generated text, generated text. So what is the error? Await. No issue. Still set. Then we will be setting the messages. So what is the set message? So we'll be taking the previous messages and then we will be updating with our response, right? So these are the previous messages, the state of previous messages. Then again, messages are the use states which we have declared earlier in our program. So we will be editing that. Text bot reply id date now, and yes, we are good to go. So we'll be catching an error over here. If it throws an error, if the fetching fails, then we must show an error, right? So we'll be showing the error message. Then again, what is our error message? It will be our own prompt, so it can be anything. So console.error. What does console.error do? Console.error will give you a, will write a error message which will be reflecting in our console earlier, console in the later part. So what is the, if the fetching fails, then what happens? We will be having a hugging face error. That is the fetching is failed because it has something to do with the hugging face API, right? So we will be updating the hugging face API error message from hugging face. So yeah, this will be our error and then done. Right, right. So this is a use effect. This is for the scroll behavior, and let us see if there are any errors in the console mode first. So there are so many messages. Let me go to the bottom. So what do we have here? We have a type message. So let me format this document first. So I have formatted this document, and then what is happening over here? Let me check. Let me zoom out a bit. Yeah. So this is our function, and then we have written a try function over here. Input or trim. We have written a try function. In the try function, we are generating the text by the user prompt. We will be returning the response. Will be returning the response. Then again, if it gives an error, then we will try to resolve it 3 times. Then again, what happens after 3 times? After 3 times, it will throw an error. So what will be the error? So we will be printing it later on. So this is the await function equals to await. Let me try this console. Okay, we having a console. So let us check this once if we are getting it right. Let let us say hello. So what does the console say? Let us go to the console. There is nothing in the console. Since we are not printing anything, let us try printing something. So let us add a role to it. So we are using the same state messages for the bot response and the user prompt at the same time, right? So we will be using a reference called role, where we can actually differentiate between the messages of bot and the user. So we will initiate a set messages to what do you say, user message. And again, where does the user message go? Okay, so let us create a new what do you say, variable called user message. This is a user message. Yeah. So in this user message, we will be having a similar format where we will be having a text. Text is our input basically, and then our ID will be date now, date now, and our role will be user. So we will be differentiating it by their own roles, and the role will be user. Then again, what do we do with it? We will be setting our message to user message. Will be user messages over here. Okay. Then again, let us add a await function over here. Okay. Let us leave it for this way now, and let us see if it is creating any ruckus. Let us type hello. You can see a little dialog box over here. This is supposed to be our bot response. Let me go to the console to check what happened. So we are not printing yet. So let me check it. Let us access our code. So from initially we have set the user message, you have set the role, and we are retrying. So this is our snippet of the error code. Okay, so far so good. Mm, let's say we are having our previous message set to okay. Now set a role called bot. This is our response from the bot, right? So we'll be setting it to bot, and then here we have to do something about the in the message text. We will be writing our own. We will be differentiating between the messages of bot and our prompt. And then again, how to do it? Let's do it. So let us add a dollar symbol to differentiate. So yeah, this should be in this codes. Let me clear these codes and introduce these codes. These codes, whenever we enter the dollar symbol, it will be representing it will be representing as a variable, right? So let me create this. What happened here? Text. So these should be in. These are supposed to be in these brackets. There are too many brackets. Let me create this first. These are supposed to be okay. Initially, it was like this, right? So let me add this. Mm, let me add this thing, and then we will be removing the quotes, and then we will be entering these codes. Yeah, it's working fine. So far so good. And then we will be adding a dollar symbol over here. And then we will be writing our own code, right? So what to write over here? We will be differentiating. If the message dot role is equals to user, then it is similar to the if else statement. We are writing it in a single line. So if the message role is user, then our, so let me clear this background white. For instance, if else what happens, BG will remain white and the text is aligned to left. This is the bot replay basically, and this is our user text. Let me go to the React tab. Let me refresh this. Let us add some prompt. Hello. As you can see, our prompt is aligned to the right words, and the background of our text message have become blue. So let me adjust the brightness. Let me transform it into blue. Then again, hello. Okay. Uh, Let us add it to 200, for instance. Yeah. As you can see, it has brightened up. Still, we are not getting the response. So let me resolve this first. So we have a try function over here, and then await. So await is a reserved word we can't use in the. So do we have we missed any? We This might be a syntax error. Let me assess through along from the starting itself. So what have we done? We have introduced the inference model. So this should work fine. Yeah, the spellings are right. So we have the message state, we have the input stage, we have the reference stage. Let me clear this. This yeah, this is required over here. Let me add a scroll bar. So this should be a async function. So this will be a async function, and we will be assessing the what do you say, we will be assessing the target value e. We are preventing the default function. We are trimming the input. So we have created a user message, and then we are setting the messages to user message. Also, we have created an inference over here, and this should work fine. Let us see. Let us refresh this. So let me type hello. Yeah. So this is the response that we are getting from the GPT-2 model that has been hosted in the Hugging Face platform. So let me assess the console first. So let us go to the networks. As you can see, so there is a API response over here. So yeah, okay, response. So this is the response we have generated. So sorry, let me go to the post request. So we are not getting the post request since we don't have any server in our local system. So let me generate the message again. So let us give a prompt called, so what is AI, right? So let me give a prompt called what is AI, and then where does this prompt go? This prompt will be handed over to the Hugging Face server, and the Hugging Face server will run it in a different model called GPT-2. So the GPT-2 will generate the text, and then it will be provided to us in the form of inference server by the Hugging Face platform. So let me type this. So what is AI? take some time. Yeah. So what is a? It isn't just about. So we are getting some inappropriate responses. These has something to do with the GPT-2 server. So these servers are always busy, and then the data might corrupt easily. So what will we do? We will try another model. So we have another model called uh, Mastal. So this is a good text generation model. Sorry. So let us type Mistral over here. So as you can see, there are many Mistral models. So each model has their own testing data and then their own purpose. Right? We will be using Mixtal instead version 0.1. So let us type it 0.1. Hope I'm good. Yeah, Mixtal 0.1. Where is it? Where is it? This is not. Let me type Mixtal. Okay, Mixtal 8x only. Yeah. Okay. This is supposed to be our. Yeah. This is the model. So yeah. As you can see, Mixtal 8x22B instruct. So we will be using this model to create appropriate responses. So far, we have created it using uh, GPT-2. As you can see, our model name is GPT-2. You can see it over here. But we are getting inappropriate responses. For example, let me type a simple prompt called hello. As you can see, we are getting some gibberish text over here, which doesn't even have any meaning. So let us use another model called Mixture. Then again, how to do that? You can go to the model, you can go to the inference endpoints, and you can use the endpoint. So how to declare that? Similar to the previous GPT-2 inference creation. So we'll be creating an inference for Mixture. Okay. So we will be uh, creating the inference over here. So then again, these models have their own purposes, and then there are certain models which doesn't support for the streaming purposes. Streaming in the sense, the code has to be streamed. Like so, as you can see, whenever you give a prompt to ChatGPT, it will be it will give the responses in a streaming way. Streaming way in the sense, it will if you see the response text, it will be as if the chat gpt is typing in the interface, right? So it will be printed word by word as if it is typing in the backend of your server. That is a streaming kind of uh, request handling. So there are certain modules which doesn't support this kind of request handling. So also there are some models uh, which are served only if you have a paid subscription. So you can use any module which can have this inference API. There are certain models which do not have inference API. They only have AWS or that support. So we will be handling the inference for Mixtal AI, Yeah. So so far so good. This doesn't need to change. Okay, let me change the fetch response. Okay, so far so good. So we will be handling the submit. That will be a async function. We have to try the. Let us create a try function which will handle our uh, fetching data. Let us create a variable called boilerplate. Okay, some syntax error. Okay, let us create a streaming thing. So, and then again, why am I writing a for loop over here? The Mixtel AI supports streaming platform. The responses are generated word by word. If I don't write a for loop, then the pod responses will be printed word by word, right? So we need to what do you say append those responses one by one, and we need to make a paragraph. Let me show how to do that. Chunk of inference. Start. Team. Then again, what are these inference chat completion? You might get these doubts, right? So, what is this chunk? What is this inference? What is this chart completion stream? So these are the functions that are being provided by the module. Then again, what is the module? Hugging Face Inference module, which we have downloaded using the npm, right? In those npm, they have already written the function called chart completion stream. So we don't have to code anything separately. We just have to call it. Yeah, this is how we call it, and then we'll we will be what will we do? What will we be doing? We will be calling the function that has been already written by the Hugging Face guys. So we will be passing some attributes in order to change the model name. Then again, what is the model we are using here? Mr. A. So let me search the name again. So Mr. Right. Let me type the name over here. Mr. AI mixed slash 8x7b instruct